Hi, everyone. I think it's working right.
And indeed, I hear you.
Great, great. It's my first time using this Mitico. So, okay, it's working. Nice.
Testing.
5 by 9.
Okay.
Hi, Matt.
Well, to share is that I'm going to IEEE LatinCom Guatemala first week of November to present some work with Flavio on securing the data link, and also have two abstracts accepted IEEE airspace in March. So we are growing our collaboration with Brazil people and expect them to give a talk tomorrow at our lab as part of a conference and sub visit.
Can't hear you, Daniel.
You're still muted, Dan.
I was hearing Andre, and then it just stopped talking when I reached the conference.
Now we hear you.
The slides don't want to share, apparently.
Your audio has dropped again, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Find another way to. So, do you see my screen now? Perfect. So, welcome everyone. I mean, as a regular slide, please take time to read the note well. I'm sure you're aware of that slide. We do have a very brief agenda. I'm wondering, Stu, did you manage to upload your slides?
Yes, just moments ago. Andre sent me the link, which I hadn't been able to find. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I hope you will be able to share them, otherwise just be prepared to share your screen. So what we do have, so introduction, then I mean, Stu and Bob are going to present the ecosystem, what is currently being done, where we're trying to head, and some preparations for the next IETF meetings. And I have an item for proposed new work. So if there are anything to be presented here, that would be the place. First thing, do we have anyone committing to take notes during this meeting?
I can take the notes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Adam. So I don't have much to say for as an introduction, except that I'm glad that people get committed to that working group again. I don't know if Med, you have anything to say, to add?
Nothing specific on my side. Thank you.
Okay, right. So let's move on. Stu.
Okay, I'm here. Did the slides come through to you, or shall I share them from my machine?
Share them from your screen.
Okay. Okay. Are you seeing them?
No, I mean, at least not me.
Okay.
I am also not seeing them.
As a side question, did you all have to authenticate yourself, or? Yeah, likely yes.
Okay, I hit the request screen share icon, and it turned up green, but so far that's it.
Yeah, I think then you have to grant the access request from Stu.
So pass slide control, maybe. Oh, okay. I'm giving you the slide control then.
Great.
On my screen, I have a new deck is being shared.
Yeah, it's only allowing me to select slides from those that have been uploaded, which is just share slides. It's not allowing me to
Okay,
actually screen share from here.
so let me try to share the slides. Okay, so I'm taking the control back.
Yep.
I will see if I can see the slides.
So if you want to share the slides from your end, don't pick slide sharing, pick screen sharing.
Okay, yeah. Because now I see my slides. But I'm going to open Stu slides.
Great. There's only a couple, but I kind of need them.
Let me pick the email with the slides. Well, I don't know. I have to save it first. Stop. Okay, so now I go back to screen share. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, do you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's a bit of a. Ooh, there we go. It's a bit of an eye chart, but right now everybody in the UAS business is focused entirely on what's called BV loss, beyond visual line of sight operations. And there's a lot of considerations, a lot of things they're trying to achieve: security, safety, effectiveness, and economics. So about a month ago, the two U.S. government agencies, the Federal Aviation Administration, which is the civil aviation authority in the U.S., and the Transportation Security Agency, or Transportation Safety Agency, I can't remember what the S stands for, which is a completely different agency in a different department of the government, jointly released for public comment a notice of proposed rulemaking saying what they're thinking on what they're calling normalizing BV loss operations. Right now, if you want to do a beyond visual line of sight operation, you pretty much have to do it under a waiver. And it's a big, expensive pain in the butt to prepare a waiver request. And it's a burden on the agencies to process those waiver requests. So they want to get out of that business and actually have regulations such that if you color within the lines, you can just do it and you don't have to request a waiver. And I've excerpted from the summary of the preamble of that NPRM, that paragraph that you see there. What's going to happen over time is faster, higher flying, larger UAS are going to be used to deliver cargo, not just little tiny packages, but cargo of substantial size, and also air taxis. This is one of the reasons why the term uncrewed is becoming more common as opposed to unmanned, because there might actually be a human on board. It's just that human doesn't have the stick of the aircraft, unable to control the aircraft's trajectory, but on board nonetheless. So uncrewed signifies that there isn't anybody on board the aircraft with the stick, able to control the aircraft. So this is kind of blurring the line between what we might think of as harmless small drones and conventional crewed aviation. And that's causing people to increasingly recognize urgent needs, pretty much for what we are calling trustworthy air domain awareness, which creates an amusing acronym. It's to support two things. First off, before you fly, what's called strategic deconfliction of what are called operational intents. I would like to perform the following operation in the following four-dimensional airspace volume. And this is all done over an overlay network called UTM that sits on top of the internet. And then in flight, what is variously called tactical deconfliction or self-separation or detect and avoid. These are not the same thing as collision avoidance. With tactical deconfliction, self-separation, detect and avoid, you are keeping the pilot, whether that is an AI, ML-based autonomous software process or a human, informed of other aircraft and possibly things other than aircraft that are close enough that he or she or it ought to be aware of them when making decisions about the aircraft trajectory. Whereas collision avoidance is an automated system that kicks in if you got too close, and it needs to automatically make a dramatic maneuver to avoid a collision. So this is just terminology, right? But those are the two needs, pre-flight and in-flight, strategic and tactical. That's what we need to support. Now, to support that, we need to integrate what we've primarily been working on, which is Uncrewed Aircraft System Remote ID, or RID, and other cooperative and non-cooperative systems. Examples of other cooperative systems would be automatic dependent surveillance broadcast mode, ADS-B. Non-cooperative systems would be radar. These need to get integrated with UAS traffic management and traditional air traffic control. And previously, these have been thought of as entirely disparate systems operating on different types of aircraft. Michael, and operating mostly in segregated airspaces. You know, they figured that the drones are going to fly under 400 feet, and the big aircraft are going to fly above 400 feet, except when taking off and landing, or possibly crop dusting or something like that. But now they're increasingly saying that no, there's going to be overlap in the areas of operation, so these systems need to talk to each other, and they weren't designed to talk to each other. Fortunately, DRIP makes it easier for them to talk to each other. And they're now realizing that they need to ensure trust in the safety critical data. If you're going to, for instance, use remote ID, which was not designed to support detect and avoid, if you're going to use it as one input to detect and avoid, then you need to be able to trust it. And a trivially spoofable system, which is what they have without DRIP, cannot be trusted. And so you don't dare use it as an input to DAA. For instance, think of a denial of service attack, not on a network, but on airspace. If I want to stop you flying, I'll just take a whole bunch of Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, and I'll scatter them all over the continent, broadcasting remote ID in every conceivable airspace volume. And the detect and avoid systems, if they trust that data, will say, oh my God, I can't fly there, I can't fly there, I can't fly anywhere. So what are the applicable frameworks for trust? There's ICAO's trust framework for all aviation. Everything from the embedded controller in the baggage carousel to the airline ticket counter desk to the primary surveillance radar to systems on board the aircraft. It is based upon X509, but X509 is too bloated to send over some of these wireless links over the air to aircraft where the aviation spectrum is very, very limited and precious. Fortunately, Bob's DKI draft not only complies with the ICAO emerging framework, but it compacts those X.509 certificates down into our DRIP over-the-air endorsements, as shown in Adam's 9575 RFC. There's also a new framework from AUVSI for all uncrewed vehicles in all domains, air, land, sea, space, whatever. And DRIP sits right in the intersection of those two frameworks. And it standardizes almost everything that you need for a complete solution. But it needs only one more piece. And Daniel, if you go to the next slide, please. Okay, this is how I see the flow amongst these various documents. ASTM F3411 is a technical standard for uncrewed aircraft system remote ID. That's all it is. But then to comply with the rules of the Civil Aviation Authority in whatever jurisdiction you are in, you may need to do additional things above and beyond what 3411 requires. Or where F3411 gives you choices, the CAA rules may specify a particular choice that you must select. Those things drove our development of DRIP requirements, which drove our development of DRIP architecture. DRIP architecture was first and foremost dependent upon Bob's DRIP entity tag, the DET, and then it's used in Adam's 9575 authentication formats and protocols for broadcast remote ID. There's also Bob and Jim Reed's standard, which is in the RFC editor queue, has been there for a while, for using DRIP entity tags in the DNS. And it's really more about how you read them out of the DNS than how you get them into the DNS. And just like any other internet domain name, before you stick it into DNS, you got to register it. And so the missing piece, if you will, is how one registers a DET, because the DET is in fact an internet domain name. It is also an IPv6 address, right? If you read it forward, it's an IPv6 address. If you read it backwards and nibble reverse it, well, now it's in IP6.ARPA. Well, how does it get allocated in the IP address space, and how does it get registered in a zone in the DNS? That's the one missing piece. The other thing we need is, if we want people to actually do this, there need to be things that are called means of compliance, or MOCs. There is a MOC right now from ASTM F3586. It takes the ASTM F3411 technical standard and shows how to apply it to comply with, in the US, the FAA's rules. But we need something that is more general, that can be used globally. And we're also not in the business of writing means of compliance in IETF, but we do want to make it very, very easy for some SDO like ASDM or EuroK that is in the business of writing means of compliance to cite one DRIP document that serves as the single point of entry into our whole space of DRIP documents, and tells them how to do a complete system, including that currently missing piece, the registration process, which in turn includes the essentials only from Bob's DRIP key infrastructure draft. Now, I've colored blue a few other things that arguably are within or arguably are without the scope of our initial charter. If we recharter, or if we create a new working group in a different area rather than the internet area, whatever, those are additional things that we call for in the DRIP requirements. But they're not part of what I'll call baseline DRIP. Baseline DRIP is about ensuring trust in the data that you got over remote ID. The further place to take that, of course, is to make that trustworthy information immediately actionable. And so whether that's in scope for DRIP or not is an argument we can have. Now, there's a new effort called Drone Squad. It consists of the CAAs and related agencies in Brazil, Canada, the EU, and the US. They have created what I'm calling a template, they don't call it that, that is intended to facilitate the developers of standards writing standards that can then be cited easily in means of compliance, that those CAAs can then say, oh yeah, we accept that means of compliance, you can fly in our airspace under that. Adam has a draft that we have not yet brought it into the Drone Squad template, because the Drone Squad template was just released last month. And it shows how to use DRIP for session IDs, which is something that the regulations allow, but only once somebody shows them how to do it. And also authentication key IDs, and finally, optionally, where allowed, as encryption key IDs. So what I am asking for, which we'll come back to later in this session, is that the working group adopt and review Adam's draft, which is about registration and provisioning and different implementation options, because it's the final currently missing piece to fulfill our initial, which is still our current charter, before we close the working group down or recharter it or move it to a different internet area, or whatever we do. That's all I have. And I don't have an answer to Andre's question, but I hope the answer is no.
Okay. So thanks. Any opinion? Any comment? No. So I guess that leads us to what we want to how do we want the what we want to do during this IETF drip session. Oh, Michael.
I just wanted to say that I do not think we should close. I do not think we should move to another area or another working group. If we're going to do something, please recharter this working group. Don't confuse people.
Okay.
Is
So-
anybody seeing Bob? I'm not seeing Bob in the participant list.
Bob has holiday today. There's a specific holiday. I have texted him. He has not responded. So
Daniel, would you like me to really, really succinctly cover the points I was hoping Bob was going to cover?
it kind of plays in a little bit to what Michael just mentioned, which is don't confuse the regulator. It's been due to our work, they've picked up what drip is and now have a very solid grasp of that name. If we change it, there might be issues, but I'll let Stu discuss.
May I have the floor again for a second, Daniel?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's been a long slog, but Bob has been quite a warrior out there in the various standards development organizations. These include EuroK, RTCA, those are aviation-specific SDOs, ASTM, which is not aviation-specific, but it is relied upon heavily by the FAA and some of the other CAAs to do aviation standards, among others. We've been quite active in the International Civil Aviation Organization. And as Adam said, DRIP has now achieved name recognition. It also has been rolled out by several really security-focused government agencies. And it's being looked at closely by some major operators like Zipline, right? Zipline has got more experience flying beyond visual line of sight than any other organization on the planet. And they're quite familiar with DRIP and looking at pieces of it, not necessarily all of it, whether or not regulations require them to use it. They're finding pieces of it useful, right? So I guess the point is that whether or not DRIP in its entirety is adopted by anybody, DRIP has already produced artifacts that have in fact been adopted. Okay, so Michael's asking for rolled out in government agency. Okay, so the U.S. Department of Defense, which not all of you may love, but they're a player, has in fact deployed things that came out of the DRIP work. I'm not going to say that they have deployed DRIP as such. A particular thing that they are using and that other security-focused U.S. government agencies are using is what we call CSRID, Crowdsourced Remote ID, which addresses that Gen 5 gateway requirement in RFC 9153, that we be able to set up receivers, which Bob calls finders, that receive over-the-air broadcast remote ID, and then date, time stamp it, and stamp it with the position of the receiver, which presumably is within wireless link range of the transmitter, and then send that out over a network so that it can be ingested into what's variously called network grid or UTM or other, air domain awareness systems. So it is in use in various locations that I don't think it would be appropriate for me to disclose, but it is the United States and various places where the United States has permission for DoD to operate in shared defense. Likewise, Department of Homeland Security. And then among the commercial adopters, number one at the top of my list is Zipline. So I hope that gives kind of a broad sense of where DRIP has already gone and is in the process of going, even if not in its entirety.
Okay, right. So, I mean, we will have another so we do have this interim meeting. We have a next interim meeting, and we do have an IETF session. I currently do see on 2 drafts that have been updated recently. I mean, this month, a few days ago. Are they the drafts you want to discuss, present today, or?
I could talk a little bit about both of them,
Okay.
if you would like. I don't have any slides, so you can leave up Stu's slides to have something up.
Okay.
But so I guess I'll go kind of in order of what has existed. So first is the crowdsourced RID. So me and Bob have kind of been in tandem doing 2 different drafts about crowdsourced RID. His has been very theoretical, like where we started. And then mine was very much, I built a system, which is the thing that Stu was mentioning, and got deployed. So those 2 documents need to kind of come together as one and meet in the middle. And that has been on myself and Bob's docket for a while, but we just never get around to doing it because there's always another thing that pops up that we need to take care of. So I won't really talk much about crowdsourced RID other than it gave at least me a lot of operational experience deploying the system, and a lot of what I learned came into the next document, which is the bigger document that Stu was asking for adoption and review, which is the TDA document. This is a big document. So if you were watching the related RFCs or internet drafts coming in, there used to be 3 documents: a mock document, a registration with CWTs, and then a RDAP document. Those last 2 documents kind of have merged into this document, making this quite a beast in some ways, but it was a little bit easier for me to write the document wholesale instead of having 3 separate documents juggling. So we can have that conversation of if there's delineation points to make the document a little bit easier to grasp and just make reference points. But effectively what TDA does at a high level is it gives you overview of the roles and responsibilities. And this is written more from the perspective of an RAA entering the space. So you're a civil aviation authority, you've heard about this drip thing, you really want to do this drip thing, and you need a document to one real document that can point and start walking its constituents through implementing RAs and HDAs. So it gives up the roles of all the various party classes and then their responsibilities of what they're expected to do within the ecosystem. It has a technical goal of basically providing global harmonization. And to do that, it's just, this is the standard way to do it. And then if regionally or locally you want to provide another way as well, that is up to you as the jurisdiction head, i.e. the CAA. And so they can use that. And the whole document itself is meant to either be standalone, i.e. we send it to Drone Squad and get their thumbs up of approval, or it's referenced in another document, such as the ASTM means of compliance, that says if you're going to do session IDs, this document covers it, other than maybe a few small changes that are required from that mock, which is very US specific. So just to go very high level on the TDA, the registration process at the moment is limited for global harmonization purposes to be HTTPS carrying web tokens, either CWTs or JWTs. And the data models generated and shown in that document are intended to allow either to be selected. This was a big missing piece that we've had. We had a registration system in that we knew what you would do once you got the debt and put it in DNS, but there was no document to say, well, how does a client actually register with the registrar? This document provides the interface, the standardized interface to allow that. The second piece is the private queries. This was the piece that is an authorized personnel that needs to get the private information, PII. We had selected RDAP for that, which is again an HTTPS thing. And after some back and forths internally and through a little consultation with somebody in the FAA that we know, on a technical level, we've decided that mutual TLS is probably the best for global harmonization, but others are on the table, such as Open Drone ID Connect for authorization and access control, and XACML over SAML as other options. The final thing this document does is in a normative appendix, it pulls in the X509 profiles from Bob's DKI document that is currently adopted as an informational only document. And so this section basically lays out all the X509 objects, be it the certificates that support the ICAO ACCP, and the certificate sign request that the registration process hinges on. So that's all of TDA, and that is what we're requesting to be adopted into the working group to become a RFC. Whether it's one big document or a slightly medium-sized document into smaller technical documents is up for discussion, but everything is currently in one document just for everyone's ease of managing the interplay. That is, I believe, all I have. I'll take questions from anyone. I know Michael's in the chat. But that's what I have. Sorry.
Michael, you want to say something?
No questions from Michael. I don't know if there's anybody else.
Okay. Right. So these are the two drafts you want to, and do you expect to provide an update by the next interim meeting?
Yes, I'm hoping to provide at least small updates to TDA. The whole getting it into the drone squads format is going to be a little bit more involved. It's probably going to be a thing I'll work on. When we do the hackathon, it's probably one of the things I'm going to sit there and beat my head against if I'm not busy doing something else. Okay, ID deadline is Monday. The only thing I'll be able to get out is my version of CSRID then, which is I'm finalizing probably today and tomorrow. So that changes things for me. Thank you, Michael.
Just in my opinion, although TDA is nowhere near its final form, I think it is breadth complete enough that it is ready for review and could be adopted right now.
Yeah, I think having it be reviewed and people going, is it too big or whatnot, could be helpful, because I understand it very well because I wrote it and I've been surrounded by it for the past 2 months. And so I can jump around the sections fairly easily and thread things together. But if for someone else, it might be a little bit more of a confusing mess. And I would really like to have someone look at that and ensure that we do that correctly. But yeah, Daniel, so I want to get some stuff out before the ID deadline.
Okay, good. So yeah, as you mentioned, it would be good to find some people to review that. Wherever it's going to be host. This is something you need to consider also. Because I haven't seen much discussions on the mailing list so far on those drafts.
Correct. I did send out the document, the 00 document, I believe it was. I sent that out. I distributed that before I even uploaded it, and then I uploaded it to some chosen people privately. They were mostly working in the FAA, and now the government has shut down. So I can understand why I haven't heard anything back from them, which might have been me putting my eggs in one basket. Whoops. But now that Drone Squad's in, I know that there are some Brazilians, I think, on the call right now. Please review the document, go to the mailing list, bring up some discussions. I'll probably try to start some discussions on the mailing list during the week on some of the touching points that of this. Yeah, Michael, I wish that was the case. Consent, silence equals consent for FAA at least. I'll touch on some things and bring up some like hotter, touchy issues that I've made a stance on, but know that there's potentially contention, or maybe we want to go a different way. So I'm going to start drafting things later today on that to submit to the mailing list to try to drive some discussion on the mailing list.
Yeah, that would be good too. Yeah, please go ahead.
Daniel, one issue we've had is that there's actually been a larger number of people involved with DRIP, but they have been from either regulatory agencies or security-focused users in the U.S., or they have been from SDOs other than IETF that are more involved in aviation-specific stuff. And we've just had a hard time getting them to participate in the IETF process, right? Getting them to do stuff on list. I've just not been very successful with that. I will continue to try.
But we're here to make the IETF work. So that's
yeah, I understand.
That's one of the thing. Yeah, we need to. I mean, wherever those documents are going to be hosted. I mean, we are not confident that we will have a sufficient reviewers to lead those documents to an RFC now.
Understood.
So that's one of the key thing we need to solve.
Right. So
then where it's going to be hosted. I mean, is it a new working group? Is it because it's really an operational thing. So now, I mean, to me, it looks like if we move to, I mean, we could move to larger groups. So it might help to get reviews as well. So that's also an option we need to put on the table. But I mean, what you need to prove is that those drafts are, I mean, supported, will get review, and could lead to an RFC. That's primary what we want to see. And again, I'm clearly mentioning wherever it's going to be hosted.
Does it? So, as an idea to try to pull in some more reviews, obviously I've uploaded this into the DRIP working group. Is there any harm in going into like one of the int area or one of those other groups and going, we have this document that's an internet draft, we'd like some reviews, but there is some contention of whether or not it goes here, or there's another working group, or it fits somewhere else, and get people to read it at minimum and go, I don't understand XYZ.
That's exactly what this is. I would I mean I have to check. I mean, ops area seems to be maybe a good thing. But I mean, as you mentioned, int area might also be something.
Isn't there an
You,
area
you should
Gen
consider.
dispatch? We could go Gen dispatch too, maybe. Right? Go into one of the dispatches.
Yeah, sure. But
I'm just throwing ideas out
so
because my understanding is Gen dispatch. You throw a document and go, I wrote this thing, but I don't know where it goes. And then people read it and go, oh, it should go over there.
yeah, maybe that's not what you should focus on now. I mean,
Okay.
I tend to think that finding a home is not the difficult part for those kind of work. What you need to focus on, because I mean, uh, I mean, wherever we tell you it's the right home for that work, it might help you to go there. It's always easier if you said, I have 20 people reviewing and actively working on that.
Got it.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Then home is, yeah, if you might get one or two additional reviewers, I mean, it's not going to be a problem. So if you're able to say, I mean, we have the people that are leading that work. That work is going to be shipped into 3 months. I mean, the home where it's going to be hosted is
Irrelevant.
is just not a problem.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll gladly take suggestions of mailing lists that I could.
For me, I would not. I mean, it might be something we would see, but I think now you should not try to figure out where you're going to be hosted, but more who is going to contribute. And I think at that point you can clearly reach out other mailing lists, int or ops, and to explain what you're doing, to say we would like to receive some feedbacks. And it's even if you're, it's very common that works are being hosted. I mean, not hosted, but handled by different working groups. So it's not because it's in one working group that the other working group is not um, being asked to review it or provide comments in one or the other way. So, what we want to see is that we get some people involved, other than the people that have been involved in Dripped, and to show some interest and some insurance that this work is going to move forward. Because I do see a lot of author, but let's say which the crowd or ID. So when you say it's theoretical, only one. There is only one of the author present at this. So it was not on the agenda. So I'm not blaming, but that's also tells us something. So this is only one aspect, but clearly, how far we can go with the IETF with that, and that's clearly what you need to show, that the document are moving on, that you have supports, that reviewing is not going to be a one guy work. So that's clearly what you have to work on now, rather than finding a host or find people to review, to get committed and actively committed. I can look at the mailing list, but did we have any participation from Intel, from Big Holes, for example, on the mailing list? I'm not so sure. Okay. This is what we need.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, in pursuit of that, Daniel, I think I've CC'd you on some of my invitations to people who are active in these other SDOs to try to get them to come to Montreal, not necessarily for, all week, but at least for some of the drip-related activities. And I think in particular, we ought to invite our new Brazilian participants who have committed to IETF participation to speak up and say, what they're hoping to get out of this and what they're hoping to contribute to this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I mean, we don't need to wait for the ITF. I mean, I'm happy to give them the floor. I mean, Antonia, Flavio, Lorenzo. I mean, if you want to say something, I mean, just, I mean, you're more than welcome.
Hi, it's a great, yeah, it's a great pleasure to participate with this first reunion here, and at the first moment, this is again, this is our first approach, first interaction with IETF, and especially Drip, and also everyone here. We are in group of four. I'm Professor Lorenzo. We have here Antonia and also Flavio and Melo. Melo needed to leave previously, but Melo is officer from Brazilian Air Force 2, PhD students. Antonia is PhD student. Flavio is also a PhD student. We have received a grant from the Brazilian Internet Committee um, for 3 years. These 3 years, we have 9 meetings. The first meeting it will be in Montreal, and the next 9 meetings we are in person to all through the whole week in every meeting there. And our intention is naturally contribute to DRIP. We have two positions here. One position is our proposed project, which is aligned, naturally is aligned with Brazil Air Force, with our what we think we should do. Not, it's not mandatory. We can change the course during these 3 years. On the other hand, we also have drip and interest is what drip needs to do. A bit of a trade-off. If we only do what drip needs, just like a task force. And we believe in running code, of course. We are interested in programming and running tests and publishing, make some top tiers papers, so on and so forth. But we focus only in the uplift the drift. It's interesting. On the other hand, we forget our sponsors. So we want to contribute to drip, but also you see this trade-off. We also make some contributions in our projects. Our projects are a bit flexible. We can adapt them. And again, so resuming what I'm speaking, this is our first approach. We are more just like observers here, trying to understand uh, how you guys interact with each others. We are observing what are the best entry point we can contribute, so on and so forth. Uh, One special thing is that we have a qualify exam for master students 2 hours ago, today, 2 hours ago, and one of my master students is doing KPI for DRIP, and also I can share maybe in the next meeting.
Yeah, sure.
The
That would be interesting.
next, yeah, I can share some slides and bring some ideas from a perspective, uh, from academic perspective. What is the state of the art, and what can we contribute here?
No, that's
Maybe in the next meeting, I also can share a bit of our project, our submitted project. I can share
yeah,
right now if you everyone want, but we are about to 5 minutes to go. But
yeah. No,
I
no.
can.
Let's give you some time to prepare that for the next interim meeting. That's going to be much more interesting. I think that's worth. So one thing, I mean, maybe one clarification. So do you have a system that works and that is more or less doing what Drip is doing, and you're trying to combine those two, or to find something in the between? That's my understanding.
Yeah. We don't have a test bed yet.
Okay.
Professor Flavio is working with Professor Andrei Gurtov right now. Flavio is in Sweden right now, Lidköping. but
Okay.
and they have the test bed there, but not here in Brazil. We are in the progress
Okay,
to.
right. So you
We
work
have
with Andre.
drones. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I see. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah, that's
but we want to make a test bed here to run
hmm.
experiments with drip, the complete stack here to see what happens.
Okay, right, I see. Yeah, it's definitely. So how many of you are going to be at the ITF?
Uh, all of us, 4 guys.
Okay, so you're going to be all four. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that's definitely something you need to present. Also at the ITF, where we have more people in there. And yeah, it's really interesting that you to have your I mean your point of view on that work. And yeah, that's a very good that's a you're more than welcome to that venue.
Yeah.
So let's make it useful to that.
Yeah. Thank you everyone to receive us.
Yeah, so thank you. So before I mean we're almost close to the hour. I'm just wondering if anyone wants to say something. Oh, I see Eric coming. I mean has Andre disappeared?
Yes, he disappeared. He had
Okay,
to-
okay,
Yeah.
right.
He's on
Because
his way to Costa Rica in Central America to present a paper.
oh, okay, right, okay. Good. I hope he's not taking a drone. Hi,
And
Eric.
then Daniel and others, I'm really sorry I didn't get any reminder from Outlook on this one, so I'm just late. We will debrief maybe Daniel after, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So I think I mean we can close maybe that meeting. I'm giving you 2 minutes, and thank you for that discussion. Let's continue for the next interim meeting, and let's prepare this ITF 124. I also hope that Andre will. I mean, for the ITF at least, I'd like also Andre to present. Maybe not the paper he's presenting now, but the latest updates. Okay, thank you guys, and let's meet at the next ITF, right?
Thanks, Daniel. Eric.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Daniel.
Bye bye.
Daniel and Matt, can you stay online?
Yeah. Do you want to call me or?
We can stay here. No, I will send both of you a WebEx invite immediately.
Okay, right.
Yeah, Eric, can you just postpone it by 30 minutes because I have another meeting right after all.
It's okay.
Okay,
For me. Daniel, for you as well? In 30 minutes?
Yeah, for me it's fine. Everything is fine.
Okay, perfect. And sorry again for coming so late.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
See you guys.